welcome. Thanks.
The Board of Commissioners is the governing body of Clatsop County, all county service districts for which this body so acts, and as the Clatsop County Local Contract Review Board is now meeting in regular session. Please join us for the flag salute. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Sullivan? Here. Commissioner Webb?
Here.
Commissioner Nebaker?
Here.
Commissioner Quila?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson? Here. We've got volume tonight. It's a new microphone.
Okay. Next is the agenda approval.
Move approval of the agenda as presented, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Now is time for business from the public. This is an opportunity for anyone to give a 3-minute presentation about any item on the agenda except for public hearings or any topic of county concern that is not on the agenda. The comment forms are over there if you want to fill one out. Looks like we just have one. Michael Manzulli, please come forward, state your name and address.
Hello. My name is Michael Manzulli. I live at 80285 Woodland Heights in Arch Cape. Thanks for listening to me today. For the past 3 years, I've been working with the Arch Cape Domestic Drinking Water District, North Coast Land Conservancy, Sustainable Northwest, and our local community to acquire 5,000 acres of national park quality land. The Water District asked me to thank Commissioner Thompson and Sullivan for attending a tour of the forest last weekend. I heard it was a good tour. I didn't get to go. They couldn't be here tonight. There's been some sad news on the board and people are traveling for summer vacation, so I came up to pinch hit tonight. Unfortunately, I see the budget proposal that you're voting on tonight does not include any funds for the Arch Cape Forest. I'm here tonight to try to change your mind one last time. The 2,500 acres that the Arch Cape Drinking Water District is seeking to acquire is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is not going to come before you at this scale, likely in your time on the commission, and maybe not ever again in the county, because there's so many groups working on this together right now. It's been truly remarkable. Combined with the North Coast Land Conservancy's acquisition that they're trying to get, which abuts this parcel, you're looking at the largest conservation project in Western Oregon's history. It's 5,000 acres. It abuts Oswald West State Park and the Cape Falcon Marine Reserve. You put these together, there's nothing like it on the Oregon coast and barely anywhere in the Northwest. However, there's much more to this project than conservation. In these rather divisive times we're living in, the Arch Cape Forest is a much needed unifying project that brings conservation, timber, recreation, and tourism together under one roof. Not only will the Arch Cape Forest ensure wildlife habitat, climate resiliency, quality drinking water, it will have a working forest component that provides timber and jobs and the revenue needed to manage such a large land. We're on the list to receive $1 million from the U.S. Forestry Legacy Grant, thanks to the hard work of our water district, but we must meet their 25% non-federal match as part of that to get the money. When our drinking watershed was clear-cut and drinking water was deemed carcinogenic, we were forced to put in almost $1 million treatment plant. The county did not provide a single cent for that plant. It was all done with the district and loans. But now, to ensure clean drinking water for the future, combined with the possibility of timber jobs, hunting, recreation, and everything else that comes along with this, we're asking for your support. And it's my understanding that over the past 3 years, Arch Cape Rim Tax has contributed over $600,000 to the county's general fund. I'm here tonight just to ask you one last time to find a way to send some of that money back to us. The potential is huge. The ramifications are enormous. This is something that's going to put Clatsop County on a global map as far as a project that could be replicated throughout the world, literally. So I thank you for all your hard work. I know you have limited funds to dole out and you have things earmarked, but this type of project doesn't come along very often. And you're not going to be having every special district in the area coming forward with these type of projects. Doesn't happen very often, and I hope you take that into consideration tonight. Unfortunately, I can't stick around for the budget talk and all the fun that'll be, but thank you, and I hope you take this all into consideration.
Thank you. The consent calendar?
Madam Chair, move adoption of the consent calendar.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this consent calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Consent calendar is approved. Commissioners' liaison reports. Commissioner Sullivan?
Hello. I am on the Northwest Senior and Disability Services Board. I'm the vice chair this year. And I got an email reminding me that right now we are trying to get the word out concerning that the Northwest Senior Disability Services is currently accepting applications for the Oregon Project Independence in Clatsop County. It's specifically catered for people who are not receiving Medicaid services or need assistance with certain personal activities to keep them in their home. And this is for adults age 19 to 59 with physical disabilities. And I have phone numbers which I'll give to Teresa to put in the minutes. And there's also some handouts in English and in Spanish that we'll work with to try to get the word out on the county level. And so I think, the trend towards healthcare is to try to keep people in their homes as long as possible, and this is an opportunity for people that may need this service to go and do that. And then in addition to that, I want to once again put the word out that the Northwest Senior Disability Board serves 5 counties. And just like this board, we meet once a month. Well, we meet twice a month here, but that board meets once a month for about 3 hours. But there is other work that's being done by the advisory committees, just much like the staff does work. And of course, this agency has staff too. But we're looking, each of the counties have a number of representatives on the Senior Advisory Committee and the Disability Advisory Committee. And right now we have one on each advisory committee, but we're looking for somebody who would be willing to be on the Senior Advisory Board or the Advisory Committee or the Disability Advisory Committee. And you can attend some of these meetings by phone. But it's a great service, and they do a lot of things that are important, including lobbying in Salem on behalf of these issues. So if you know anybody that's interested, please let me know. And there's also going to be some phone numbers that you can call them directly. But I'd be happy to help anybody that's interested to move them along towards that. So, and that's all I have for today. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Webb?
Yes, I had the great pleasure of attending the 5th County College session, which is a program that is done by the Association of Oregon Counties, of which we are members, to educate new commissioners, and it has been just a fantastic experience for me. I've learned a lot. I've learned tremendously. I've made contacts in Salem. OSU Extension is also a very vigorous part of it. So it's been wonderful. I can't say enough praises. But specifically, relating to the issue of the CCO decision that is before the county right now. I spoke with a number of other commissioners who had considered supporting more than one CCO in their counties. And it was a very interesting discussion. I think in some urban places, it might be appropriate. Marion County, for instance, is doing that. And I wondered if it would be possible, perhaps, for us to write a letter or to have some kind of a discussion about how we feel about these CCO applications. They're calling it CCO 2.0. They've basically reinvigorated through legislation the CCO program in Oregon. And the two takeaways are that what this is doing is it's making it, it's requiring much more reporting from CEOs than was done before. And also, it's mandating more county participation and oversight of the CCOs. So I came away with the mandate that this is an issue we really have to be paying attention to, and that the contract that the CCOs sign is actually with the state, but they are required to have an MOU with the county. And that, I'm sorry that Mike McNichol unfortunately is away on a personal emergency, but tonight, but I hope that we can be a little bit more active in talking about what our expectations are from the CCO.
The board did send a letter to the state in support of a single CCO option.
Well, thank you. I didn't know that. I didn't get a copy of it or anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a few months. It was a few months ago.
Okay.
That we had done that.
Okay,
so.
okay, good, thank you. So anyway, I just think that that's sort of, calling for a bigger role for us, which I think is pretty exciting. The other very exciting news is that, once again, our public health department has been cited by the state. We have a program in Clatsop County. I don't know whether every county has one, but we have a very big emphasis on early intervention. We send nurses to the homes of newborn babies, and then we try to kind of stay involved in parenting, especially for at-risk kids. And we have now been named as one of 10 public health agencies in the state who will receive additional funding to expand this program. And it's being looked at as a pilot because they did an RFP, and basically because they want to experiment, they want kind of creative before they institutionalize anything. And they were very impressed with our RFP. So we're going to be getting some of this funding, and we're going to be expanding our early intervention program. And I think that's, for those of us who believe that an ounce of prevention is worth about a ton of cure, this is very exciting. And once again, just great kudos to our health department. That's it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Quila?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot one other thing. The other thing I learned that I wasn't sure everybody knew about is that AOC is doing its usual September meetings, regional meetings across the state. And we are among Clatsop, Columbia, Lincoln, and Tillamook counties. They do us together. And this year, the meeting is going to be September 13th from 10 to 2, and it's going to be here in Clatsop County. So it should be very easy for us all to be there and see our fellow commissioners
Awesome.
and AOC. I promise I'm finished.
Okay. Commissioner Quila?
Just real briefly, I don't know how many people had a chance to go out to the Scandinavian Festival at the Fairgrounds last weekend. It was really well attended. I think they had 68 booths versus normally they only have 50 booths. So it was really a success. But there were a lot of comments about the flooring out there. And of course, that's a plastic flooring that goes over the dirt that they have in the center of the main arena. And you can only do that so many times, roll that out and roll it back up. So they're going to have to make a decision. Either they buy new plastic flooring or they actually pave it or cement it, which probably makes the most sense to actually create a solid floor in there. And then when you need dirt, truck the dirt in and take it back out. But that will probably be coming at some point in time to the board. The Fairgrounds, like I said, has been very diligent about saving their money. They have a healthy ending balance this year. They're under budget, so they're ready to make some capital expenditures. This might be one of them. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you. Commissioner Webb, I took your advice and signed up for the fisheries tour. That registration is open. The forestry tour registration won't be open till the fishery tour gets kind of handled, but thank you for that heads up. Friday was a play in Cannon Beach. Saturday morning was land use planning, the kickoff of the comp plan review at the Arch Cape Fire Hall. That was some good fun. There were lots of neighbors there. There were representatives from all around the county who came, so there's strong community interest. Community representative reiterated the need for code enforcement and the issues with transient occupancy that I've mentioned sitting here on this dais. There's a flood of tourists. And then immediately after that was the Arch Cape Forest Tour, and it's a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest, but the best day in the Pacific Northwest is to be out in the forests and looking at the ocean. So I want to appreciate my Arch Cape neighbors, extend condolences for the sad things that are going on, and just say that it's my plan to support that Arch Cape Forest effort as we go through our budget process. So that's kind of a heads up to everybody, because I think that when we went to our ethics training, which I thought was wonderful because every commissioner attended, so that was really a wonderful improvement in my mind. We talked about the need to be strategic. And when we're talking about an initiative like this that encompasses so many good impacts that are more and more important throughout our county and across Oregon and all over, this is a chance for us to make a real difference. So it was a good day. And then there was art in the evening at the Cannon Beach Gallery. So I have to tell you, that's a sweet little 24-hour segment. Thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you. Well, sorry, I think mine's going to be kind of long, but I'll try to read quickly. I attended the Arts Council of Clatsop County meeting. The council's moving ahead with plans for the Arts Summit in Seaside with focus on informing artists how they can make a living from their work. This will be the first Arts Summit in the county. The council's working hard and creatively to bring many pieces together to make it successful. It will be November 12th. The AVA is working with Recology with recycling art, or creating art from recycling items. They granted $300 to artists, but now they're granting $1,000 to the artists due to the success of this project. You may have heard of the Miss B project. That's Noel Thomas. It was he's a local artist, and it was his high school art teacher. They called her Miss B, and he set up a fund for her for youth, high school students, to utilize this fund for art materials, art supplies, and he seeded it with about $300. It's now grown to tens of thousands of dollars. So the arts in the schools, some of our high schools, I think it's Napa and Astoria, is flourishing. And I should say that those students come to AVA for classes. I believe that's the way it works. You might note that there is a mural project going on in the alleyway between Commercial and Duane. The Arts Council has been very supportive, working with people on that. There's 31 cruise ships that'll be in Astoria next season, and the Arts Council is helping artists to connect with people on the ships. I attended the CREST budget meeting for the 2019-20 year. The total amount to CREST from the federal government is just under $6 million, and non-federal income from grants is $2.7 million, and they're doing more grant writing. CREST is a wonderful organization for restoration along the Columbia River and all of the estuary areas that have been degraded. CREST may be helping with our hazards mitigation outreach plan. They're going to be assisting with the county comp plan with mapping, I think. Good. And I think this is a really good opportunity to interface with the community. Okay. I attended a tour of Clatsop Behavioral Health and with the Human Services Advisory Committee, and some highlights. The Respite Center has 16 employees. Perhaps you already know all this, but I'm just bringing this up to date in case it's changed, and serves adults only who are acutely psychotic or suicidal. In the future, there will hopefully be one for youth through GOBI. Meanwhile, that's Greater Oregon Health. Behavioral. Okay, thank you, yes. Meanwhile, a skills trainer is being advertised to assist youths in crisis. As you may know, suicide among youth has increased in our country. The Child and Family Department has 1.6 wraparound coordinators. That's how they give the numbers. It doesn't mean there's 1.6 people, but well, anyway, one is part-time. The wraparound pulls the people who are in the life of a child, the school, and the family together to create a plan for the youth who's at risk. 4 years ago, clinicians began in the schools, and we've seen a huge improvement for these youth. Also, ages 2 to 7 now have 7 to 9 sessions with parents and a one-way mirror for observation purposes, guiding parents, counseling them in parenting skills. This is grant funded and well researched and shows dramatic improvement. The Happy Baby is what actually I think you're talking about. For ages 0 to 5, helps build strong relationships with pediatricians and parents, or maybe it's the other one. Anyway, it's a pilot program, so that's why I thought maybe it was the same. Building strong relations with pediatricians and parents, and mitigating expectations for parents, because a lot of times parents expect more than what a child is ready for. The program has been in the works, planned for 1 year, and it's soon to begin as a pilot program. Also, we learned that we're going to have adult services through telepsych. I think maybe it'll also be used for children. And I know a lot of medical psychology providers are starting to go this way. Let's see, that will help people who need Suboxone, as well as the place in Seaside. We have Recovery Allies. They help determine when someone is best served, whether they need outpatient or inpatient, and pain management. We have Assertive Community Treatment that builds relationships with those through outreach, finding clients with a team, even when people don't want them. The 6 fully staffed team will continue to connect so people will know they can eventually access treatment. EASA, Early Adolescent Support Alliance, works with children. So there's all of these programs that we are able to take advantage of. Adequate housing for those released from jail is a large challenge. We know this. Mental health treatment court requires graduates to have a job and housing. It is thought that monies will be coming from the state and perhaps through CARE Oregon to provide housing for those at-risk folks. That would be wonderful. We know about the mobile crisis team. The hospitals are now staffing up their own social workers to assess and coordinate with the mobile crisis team. I didn't know that before. Crisis responses for anyone, Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. And Columbia Memorial Hospital sends doctors to coordinate services and is an integral and strong component. And Amy Baker has signed a 3-year contract. And that's everything. Thank you for your patience. County Manager's report.
So at the executive session on the 19th, the board met in executive session to discuss property sales transactions, and it was unanimously decided that you all wanted to support allowing CMH to extend their contract for to extend their due diligence period for up to 12 months. And so I'm just asking now for a motion to do that, to allow the interim county manager to sign the sale agreement to extend it up to 12 months.
I'd so move.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Okay, thank you for that. We had talked about attending parades, and so if there are parades that any of you would like to attend, if I could get a list of those that you will be in attendance for, and if it is the 4th of July parade, if you could let me know by the end of tonight, so that way I can get it registered, and then I can also coordinate a vehicle, so I know how many of you there will be.
I have to march, I can't ride.
Oh, okay.
Cannon Beach.
Oh, okay.
MRC, CERT.
Oh, so you're already going to be with another organization?
There, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I assume nobody else is going to come down to Cannon Beach. You'd be welcome. You can come to the parade if you want to, but I'm telling you, you got to put on your CERT shirt if you want, or MRC pack if you want to be marching along, but you'd be welcome as the flowers.
Do you want to do the Warrenton parade? And do you want a vehicle of any kind?
Well, I have a guy that's going to, yeah, I have a vehicle.
Okay, do you, I don't know, Terry left, if we have a magnet or something that you want on the car, or?
I can get a sign made at UPS store.
Okay.
Commissioner, I happen to have the day free. And I'm over in that area.
Okay, so you want to attend it with
Sure.
Commissioner Quila? Okay, so do you want me to handle the registration of that?
I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have something you want me to wear or carry or?
Well, you're going to be wearing your CERT t-shirt.
I will.
So
If you had a flag, I should plant on my, no kidding.
Oh, I don't know that we have any of those.
If we ever got a parade, I would be interested in that also.
Okay, all right, so I will get those taken care of. Any other parades?
Is there a 4th of July?
There's a 4th of July parade in Warrenton, Seaside, and Cannon Beach.
Okay, I see those.
There's one in Gearhart.
Oh, and Gearhart, I'm sorry. Do you want to do the Gearhart one?
There's no vehicles allowed,
oh,
other
okay.
than the fire trucks.
Oh,
And I always go to it.
okay. Did you want to attend a parade?
I do, I wish there was one in Astoria.
Well, you'll be regatta.
I will.
Yes, okay. So I will, so you will be handling that then, and you'll work with Commissioner Sullivan. So for Commissioners Webb and Thompson, I have 2 choices, July 17th or July 18th at 9 a.m. for a WANA tour.
Oh. July 17th and 18th?
One of those, yes. If you guys could make it together, that would be perfect.
Sure,
Either day at 9 a.m.
I'm actually free either of those days.
Me too.
Okay, which would you prefer? The 17th is a Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Oh, or it's a Wednesday, and the 18th is a Thursday.
17th.
Okay, and if you want to meet here, I can drive us out there.
What time?
If you get here about 8 a.m., 8:10, I know that's kind of early, but we have to be there at 9 a.m.
I got it.
Okay.
So,
At the parking lot
Okay.
over there, and I will be there with a county vehicle.
Wonderful.
Okay, today I attended the, speaking of medically assisted treatment, I attended the one-year birthday party for the medically assisted treatment program through CBH. It was pretty neat to see several of the participants got up and told some of their stories, and on July 9th, so the MAP program started a year ago, and on July 9th, one of the participants will be celebrating his one-year anniversary of being clean and sober. So it was pretty humbling. And then tomorrow, we will be celebrating the 31-year career of the juvenile director, Greg Ingebretson, who will be retiring at the end of this month. He'll be coming back on a casual basis for the month of July until our new juvenile director starts on August 1st. But we'll be celebrating him at 2 p.m. here in the Boynton building. And his 31st anniversary was actually June 13th. So he's pretty much retiring 31 years after. So, and he's a Linfield Wildcat, so he's cool. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Moving on to the business agenda. Item 8B, Board of Commissioners Committee and Liaison Assignments.
Yes, so back in January, when the board, sorry, I'm trying to flip to that page. When the board selected their liaison assignments, it was discussed about reviewing it at the 6-month mark, and we are now at that 6-month mark. And so we just wanted to take an opportunity. One of those liaison assignments is for the BOPTA, the Board of Property Tax Appeals, and that the chair for that position has to be assigned prior to when the board makes their liaison assignments in January. And so we wanted to, one, see if there was another board member who was interested in participating on that liaison assignment. And then when we met in January, it was just kind of, I believe it was Commissioner Webb who said, you know, she's not familiar with these since she's new, and just kind of look at it and see where everybody was at with things. So in regards to the BOPTA assignment, it is currently Commissioner Thompson. And is there anybody else who is interested in that? She might be able to speak to the number of meetings and training that is required.
It isn't the training. You have to go for training, and there's an organizing meeting, and then the day or days of hearings. The complexity of the information is because it's property tax law application in Oregon. If you want a chance, this is your opportunity to learn about property tax law in Oregon and how it's applied. It's a chance to work with staff. It's a good team, 3-member board. The commissioner who sits on it automatically chairs, and so it's a supportive, respectful, data-rich growth opportunity.
And our clerk, Tracy Kravenko, is here, and she might be able to answer any questions you have about BOPTA as well.
Generally, how many meetings are there?
Excuse me?
Generally, how many meetings a year are there?
Like Commissioner Thompson said, you have a training class you take once every couple years. You have to attend. There is an organizational meeting, which the board meets together, decides when they're going to meet. They go through all their paperwork, sign all their papers, and then it's one day, maybe 2. I sent an attachment, information sheet to all of you that did not know anything about the BOPTA hearings, and they run since 2017. They've been going down, so it's been a day and a half.
The training is typically an all-day training, I believe, because it takes place up in Washington County. But it is every 2 years, I believe, that you.
And then it depends on how many appeals there are, and it sounded like it was April to May or something, there's a certain, so it's not like a reoccurring thing, it's a.
No, it's basically January, and then you're done mid-April.
Okay. I am not a numbers person, but if no one else, is willing to take it on, I know that Commissioner Thompson's been on it for 4 years.
It's a growth opportunity. If you want to do it, it's a great growth opportunity.
I have all my growth opportunities I need. With all due respect.
So, well, I understand. So maybe how it works is you take the training, we name you take the training. If you like it, you go forward. If you don't like it, I could be your alternate and stand in. Does that work?
Well, my understanding, that I read is, first of all, you need something by July. You need somebody
No, I need somebody by October.
by October.
Right, that's
Okay.
why it doesn't meet the criteria for when you guys do your liaison assignments in January.
Oh, I see, okay.
It's already too late, so that's why.
But the training isn't until January, correct?
Correct.
So when would the meeting then be after the training?
Those usually are, then there's the organization meetings that usually happen in April, May, so that they can get the BOCTA hearings scheduled. You, I believe, set the BOCTA schedule in accordance with what works with the 2 other members. There's 3 members total that works with your schedules.
So does anyone else on this board hunger for this position? Seeing no faces lighting up, I would take that on.
Suzanne and I and Darla will
Okay, thank
gladly
you.
help you. Yes, thank you very much.
You'll
Mr.
be
Sullivan.
needing to do that, so, thank you.
It's a great opportunity. And Kathleen, if you really don't want to do it after you get into it, and I can step in, I'll back you up.
Oh, well, thank you, Commissioner Thompson, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner,
Thank you.
for doing that. Is there anything else about liaison assignments? Okay, everybody's happy in their positions. Okay, next we have on page 235, the notice of county land sale, setting minimum bids and proceeding with the auction. Staff, thank you.
Chair Nebecker and members of the board, I am bringing to you 5 properties that I would like to put up for auction and hold the auction here in this Boynton building on July 23rd. And these 5 properties are all over the county. Suzanne really wanted to be here tonight because she's been very deeply involved with 2 of them, but she lost her mother on Sunday, so hopes you understand. The first parcel, of course, is located in Elsie off of Maple Road, and you've heard lots of testimony on this one. And as you know, we tried all other options and tried to accommodate the prior owner, but it did not work out. So we are now putting it up for auction. And due to the neglect and the cost of cleanup and everything else and what is left on the property, we are offering this pretty much for the land value only. The next one is at Fishhawk Lake Reserve in Birkenfeld, and that has high annual homeowners dues and a $1,000 ownership transfer fee. So we tried to auction this off in, I believe, 2017, and we have had, and I've contacted the adjoining owners since then to see if they were willing to take it for 80% of the prior minimum bid. We've had no contact from anyone, so we are trying once again with a lower minimum bid. And then we have a parcel in Surf Pines. So this is the second time it's come back to me in my tenure here at the county. So some of these parcels become very familiar. I don't know if there's problems with them or what, but sometimes this just happens. So this is a second time we're selling this one off. A big portion of the property is in wetlands and underwater for a big part of the year, so it's a smaller lot. So we are looking at it as a value to adjoining owners or those a little bit above high ground, hoping to preserve their view. So we're contacting all of them. The next one, of course, is the G Road property in Jeffers Gardens, and I have to tell you that the neighbors have come and thanked the county for cleaning it up and getting the people out of there because their crime rate has gone way down. Those are the exact words of some of the neighbors. So we did clean it up. So the house and the garage and the property is empty of all garbage, solid waste, etc. It still has multiple issues, non-functioning sewer system, the house itself has much, and the garage, much deferred maintenance, cracks in the foundations, sloping floors, some of them only being plywood, and then dry rot throughout. So we place the value on it for the minimum bid as the land value again. And then the last parcel is in Warrenton. It contains 4 individual tax lots, but our policy says to group these properties together, so that's what we have done. And we have already offered this once, so we are trying it again with a lower bid, hoping that some developer would come along and take those. So that is our proposal for this auction.
Can I ask a question about the G Road property? What's the zoning on that?
Let's see.
Rural community residential.
It's what?
Rural community residential.
It's in your...
Yeah, yeah. I just wonder if there isn't something we could do, but I think don't you all usually explore if there's some way we could turn this into affordable housing, but do you think there are too many problems on the property?
There's too many problems with that.
So if you put it at the value of the land, if someone wanted to come in there and, say, build a new house, they would have to probably get rid of the original structure, and then they would be responsible for a septic system.
They
would
are
buy the
on
land as is,
sewer,
or
but
sewer, I mean.
but I think that the people that were there did something to the hookup, so we're not sure.
But
They
would that
have
be
to
the
put-
responsibility of the new owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Serpa?
I just appreciate you exhausting every effort to try to find solutions for these properties, but I certainly would move that the board adopt the resolution in order as presented, approving the minimum bids, setting sale date, proceeding to auction, and authorizing the chair to sign the resolution in order.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor and a second that the board adopt the resolution in order as presented, approving the minimum bids, setting sale date, proceeding to auction, and authorizing the chair to sign the resolution in order. Is there any further discussion? If not, the pending question is for the board to adopt the resolution in order as presented, approving the minimum bid, setting sale date, proceeding to auction, and authorizing the chair to sign the resolution in order. An aye vote will adopt the motion. A no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Aquila?
Aye.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker?
Aye. 5 in favor, 0 against. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good
You
job.
are all welcome to attend the auction, by the way.
Do you have cake? Do you have cake?
There'll be some left over. We'll save it for you.
Put it in the freezer. No, you don't have Serpa.
Next item on the agenda, page 247, 2019-20 Special Projects Fund 100 Loan to Public Health Fund 007.
So as you all know, the Household Hazardous Waste Facility has been under construction, and the way that construction has been getting paid for is as it occurs, the funds are transferred from the public health into the special projects fund and paid for as it's happening. Well, now that things are really starting to progress, it's going to exceed the amount that they household hazardous waste org unit can pay all at once. So per Oregon statute, if you're going to do an interfund loan, you have to have a resolution and order stating that this is happening. And there are certain requirements, one of which is that the loan shall not exceed 10 years, the other being that the rate of interest would be stated. When this all began many moons ago, it was decided that it would be a zero interest rate loan because this is essentially to the benefit of the county. And so the way that the loan will be getting repaid is the Household Hazardous Waste Org Unit, which is in the Public Health Fund, will be budgeting a debt service amount that will happen annually to the Special Projects Fund. And the way that the Household Hazardous Waste Fund is getting the money to pay for this loan is by user fees. And so those commercial companies who go in to dispose of household hazardous waste will be paying a tonnage rate, which was recently increased to help offset these costs. The citizens of Clatsop County, residential citizens, will still be able to go on a monthly basis to use the facility for free. And so, this is all just user fees that will be replenishing the loan to the special projects. And that's what this is. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I move that the board authorize the chair to sign the resolution and order per ORS 294.468-2 of an interfund loan made between the Special Projects Fund 100/2000 to the Public Health Fund 007/4169.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that the board authorize the chair to sign the R&O per ORS 294.4682 of an interfund loan made between the Special Projects Fund 100/2000 to the Public Health Fund 007/4169. Is there any discussion? Okay. Pending question is that the board authorize the chair to sign the R&O per ORS 294.4682 of an interfund loan made between the Special Projects Fund 100/2000 to the Public Health Fund 007/4169. An aye vote will adopt the motion. A no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Aquila,
Aye.
Commissioner Webb,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Nebeker.
Aye. The ayes are 5, noes are 0. The motion passes. Moving on to the jail project, Architectural Services Phase 2, page 251.
Good evening, Commissioners. We are here in the next step of the jail project. Back in April, you approved the first contract with DLR, and that was programming services. And so we went through with all the people to be working in the jail, deputies, food service, medical, everything, and they did the programming. We came up with, between us and the project management team, our project manager and the contractor, a construction cost, and we requested a quote, and which is like a 30-page document from DLR, and we reviewed that. We took some stuff out, adjusted it as best we could to get the fees of the services we wanted, and we're here to ask for approval of this contract. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
May I?
Yes.
I see that part of our fiscal impact statement says this contract will utilize $2.5 million of the budgeted $6 million in soft costs. This is within 1% of the estimate for the architect's fees. That seems very tight to me, very close, careful.
Well, we had months and months and months ago, we thought, okay, the architect fee is going to be this much. And that's what that means, is that we estimated it and it's within 1% of what we estimated.
Very impressive. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I move the board approve the county manager to sign a contract with DLR Group Architecture and Engineering, Inc. for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,503,000 and authorize the county manager to sign contract amendments up to 5%, $125,000 of this contract.
Second.
It is moved and seconded that the board approve the county manager to sign a contract with DLR Group Architecture and Engineering, Inc. for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,503,000 and authorize the county manager to sign contract amendments up to 5%, $125,000 of this contract. Is there any discussion? All right. The pending question is to adopt the main motion that the county manager sign a contract with DLR Group Architecture and Engineering, Inc. for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,503,000 and authorize county manager to sign contract amendments up to 5%, $125,000 of this contract. An aye vote will adopt the motion, a no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Aquila?
Aye.
Commissioner Neberger?
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes are 0. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Moving on, we come to the adoption of the fiscal year 2019-2020 county budget, page 347.
So it is that time of year. You've had your budget meetings, you've had your budget hearing, and now it is time for adoption of the budget. The attached resolution that is in your packet is for a county budget amount of $84,427,180. It imposes and categorizes the taxes provided for in the approved budget rate at the rate of 1.5338 per 1,000 of assessed value of all taxable property within the county for operations, and at the rate of 0.05 per 1,000 of assessed value for a local option, and it makes appropriations in accordance with the budget law. It reflects the budget as approved by the Budget Committee, except with the exception of an adjustment for a $45,000 increase to the Special Projects Fund. This is necessary to complete 2 projects that were not completed during the 18-19 fiscal year due to time constraints. So the funds that were budgeted in the current fiscal year will just roll into the beginning balance of next year, and then the project would be getting completed in the following fiscal year. If the board wants to make any additional adjustments to the budget, the resolution will be revised accordingly. The approved budget expenditures should not exceed $5,000 or 10% of the fund, whichever is greater. And the adoption of this resolution represents the board's final action in the annual budget for the 175th budget.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I want to speak in favor of a couple of things. I want to make a motion that sets aside money for the Arch Cape Forest. I don't want us to get wrapped up in the parliamentary procedure that can be so time-consuming and confusing to me, right? I guess I need more training. So I want to set aside an amount of money for the Arch Cape Forest project. They've asked us for $250,000. I don't want to get hung up on a particular dollar amount, but I want very much for this board to go on record and set aside the money for this wonderful project. So guide me in how to proceed.
Well,
Shall I
think
make
you-
a motion, or?
I think you would have to make a motion.
Okay, well then I'm going to put a dollar amount in and hope it works.
Before you do, it's my understanding that would the motion include the amount or the money, where it would come from and how it would balance the budget?
Well, it should state where it would be coming from, yes,
Okay.
and
All right, so
Okay.
that needs to be part of that.
So I move to earmark the sum of $250,000 in the fiscal year 2019-20 budget for the Arch Cape Forest project, I'm assuming from the Special Projects Fund, because we have a few million in that.
Can you write that motion, please, so that I can read it? Or maybe we can get that on our screens?
Sure. I have no idea. No, I hope this is legible. So here, I move to
I don't know. Let's see. Okay, thank you. You probably want this back.
Oh, I was going to say.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a motion. You have it on your screen. Is there a second?
Oh, it shows on our screen. It doesn't show for the audience, though. We don't have to. Trust us, that's what it says.
I second the motion.
Okay. It is moved and seconded that the board earmark the sum of $250,000 in fiscal year 2019 to 20, but to the fiscal year budget 2020 for the Arch Cape Forest project from the Special Projects Fund. Is there any discussion?
Some discussion. I have a couple things, but first, when you say earmark, what would that mean?
What I'm contemplating is that we now say, as a governing body, that we commit to making the money available. But in my mind, it's contingent on the community providing us with evidence that they have received federal funding, and they have a forest management plan, and they have a budget, and all of the legal paperwork that I think they are quite prepared to provide and is either in process or completed now. So what we're saying is, we're giving ourselves the budget authority to give them the money, but we aren't giving anybody a penny until conditions are met.
If I may, one thought I have is that this, the amount of money that they're asking for, the $250,000, be considered a loan from the Special Projects Fund that would be repaid over 10 years. If you take $250,000, 1% of $250,000, and I, like I said, I'm not a numbers person, but let's say there's $500,000 in hospitality tax, or whatever the proper term for that is, and you take a portion of that, and you take 1% of that, that would be $2,500 a month times 12, that's about $30,000 a year, and over less than 10 years, that money would be paid back to the Special Projects Fund through the hospitality tax, statewide. Now, I also know that the hospitality tax is for the general fund to support many different things, and I respect that. But I went on the tour this Saturday. They made a very strong case. I think the folks that have come here and spoke in front of the Budget Committee and spoke in front of us have done an excellent job presenting their case. I think that we are in times where we need to think outside the box, and this is an opportunity to support our natural environment and support our county on many different levels. So for me, in my mind, $30,000 a year is something that we can negotiate within our budget. And since there is a lot of money coming out of that district with hospitality funds, just to take that amount like I just said. So that's what I'm putting out there for discussion.
I have a question.
The 1%, I'm confused by the 1%, because the 1%, are you talking 1% a month? Because 30,000 would actually be more like 8%.
So that's where, what I'm thinking of, and you can help me with the numbers, but instead of 1% of the entire hospitality tax countywide that comes in, we take a percentage, and maybe that, what you're saying is that wouldn't pencil out, is what you're saying?
Well, 1% a month would be 25, like, I don't know if you're talking like $250,000 loan, and you had mentioned paying 1%, $2,500 a month. So that would be like $2,500 a month would be like 8%.
The parliamentarian has a...
That's where I have trouble.
Yes,
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Taylor.
it's not clear if that was a motion. It kind of sounded like a debate. So I would recommend clarifying what's under discussion.
Well, okay.
So I'm offering the discussion of,
One second. So Commissioner Thompson made a motion, and there was a second, but it was for a discussion?
right.
So the original motion was to earmark $250,000, and then Commissioner Sullivan talked about somehow funding that. And so what I was suggesting you clarify is that an amendment to the motion on identifying where the source of the money is coming from, or is that just part of the discussion?
I think it's part of the discussion.
That makes sense to me.
Is this part of the discussion?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Your loan, any loan would not be part of your budget document. That would just be a means of paying back, and it sounds like Commissioner Sullivan was just saying, if this was approved, there might be ways of working with this money to get repayment at some point. But it's the question before you is whether you amend your budget or amend the motion for your budget to include taking the $250,000 from special projects, and you're sort of discussing whether you want to do that and how.
It does seem a little murky. Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
Chair Nembeker, one comment. I think we had a thorough discussion of this during the Budget Committee. I really appreciate Andy Davis, Brian Kidder that are here, that were sat in a couple meetings considering all of these issues. And I am certainly not in favor of trying to change things at the last minute, which I think was thoroughly discussed already. And so I would vote no on this.
Okay.
Can
Yes.
I think I have expressed from this chair before that I am very, very concerned about the future of water availability in Clatsop County. I think it's a huge issue that in a few months I think I will come forward with a proposal to begin to address. But this is one of those, and I think that when we address that, we're going to have to be very creative. And we have a very large county with different kinds of geography impacting our freshwater availability. This is a very I believe, unique opportunity. This isn't something that, and I have to say that tonight I understand much more about this than I have from previous testimony that we've received from the entity. And so now that I understand a little bit more, I think I would have, in the budget process, I would have been a lot more of an advocate for this program if I had understood the full background of it. I think it is our prerogative to amend the budget. Obviously, that's why we're here tonight, is not just to approve it, but to make it the budget that we want. I very much support this. I appreciate Chair Sullivan's, Commissioner Sullivan's suggestion that, gee, maybe we can figure out a way to make this a little less of a hit to the county in the long run. But at the moment, and I also appreciate Commissioner Thompson's view that by earmarking this money, we're not saying this is a done deal. We're saying we're going to set this aside, and given certain constraints, then we will either provide this money or not. So I respect that process, and I am very much in favor of this motion.
I have a question. I have a couple of questions. Is the hospitality tax different than the room tax?
No, it's the same.
Well, doesn't the room tax have to go 70% for?
There's the original, the county established a room tax many years ago prior to the state putting that statutory requirement on there. So there is a portion of our room taxes where the county has 100% discretion that we use to support general fund activities.
It's a portion of it.
What is the portion?
The amount that is currently in the 1920 budget is $390,000.
And what has that been budgeted as used for?
It helps support all general fund organizational units such as the Board of Commissioners, Budget and Finance, Assessment and Tax, Elections, Jail, Corrections, Criminal, Buildings and Grounds, Information Technology, the Planning Department.
So if we earmark that, and I don't even know if the earmarking of that money would provide for the grant application. I think, well, but anyway, say it did, and then we would spend the $250,000 that was already budgeted for these other uses, then what would happen?
Well, so what was originally presented by Commissioner Thompson was $250,000 from the Special Projects Fund. What Commissioner Sullivan suggested is that it not be a grant, but that it be a loan, and that over a 10-year period, that a portion of the room tax dollars gets, instead of going towards the general fund, would repay the Special Projects Fund. Kind of like what the Household Hazardous Waste Fund is doing, but the Household Hazardous Waste Fund is being repaid by user fees, and this would be getting repaid by general fund collection dollars from the room tax monies.
But that wouldn't be part of the budget.
No, that wouldn't be part of the budget amendment. That's just figuring out if you were to amend the budget for $250,000. Are you going to just give them this money from special projects? Yeah, you don't have to make that decision tonight. You can just decide whether or not you want to amend the budget for $250,000.
So we're reserving the right to later with minimal administrative activity. We're not spending anything, we're just reserving the right to allocate it once we continue to talk about this and calculate what's the best way to do it and talk with them about what they think their revenue will be from the forests, and, I mean, just, there's a bunch of things to consider. But what this does is say, okay, we're going to hold this aside and have the authority to spend it, but not allocate any of it.
So, thank you. So, Monica, what is your opinion about doing this?
I would, from the county staff's perspective, I have concerns about providing funds to districts. While I totally appreciate what this project is, and it is a very unique opportunity, while it might not be the same unique opportunity, how many other districts are going to come before you? And this was brought up by the Budget Committee. How many other unique opportunities from other districts are going to come before you? And at what cost of services that the county provides? At some point, you know, right now we are in a good financial position. Will that continue the way things are changing? We have no idea. So this is a very large ask. Under typical circumstances, the board wouldn't have the authority to grant them the full 10%, but because we have the jail construction, which we are budgeting $10.5 million in the Special Projects Fund, that gives you the ability to grant the full 10% or the full $250 that they're asking for. Last year, I believe our Special Projects Fund was only $2.3 million, so you would have only been able to give them up to $230,000. But because there's the jail being constructed, the Special Projects Fund appropriation amount is much greater, so therefore you can meet this requirement. You asked for citizen involvement, and you asked for the Budget Committee members to participate as those citizens, and all 5 of them opposed this. And so that's staff's recommendation.
So Madam Chair, I'd speak to a couple of things. I want to say thank you with great respect and affection to the members of the Budget Committee. I've been a citizen budget advisor. I love that you did this. I love that you gave us your best opinion. I appreciate that. On the other hand, we are elected, and there wasn't anybody on that citizen budget committee south of Seaside that I recall. So I'm saying that there may be something to be said for the geographical point of view of a person, but that's because I live in South County, right? The other thing is, we're the members of the governing body. It's our legal responsibility and authority to make the decision, respecting, being grateful to any advice and input we get. This is our decision to make, and what we're talking about is something that is strategic. We have the authority given to us by the voters to collect money and to spend money on services through programs. I say that it's, from my point of view, my duty to fully support this activity. Commissioner Webb points out water. The letter from the Arch Cape Water Supply District talks about the fact the increase in population in tourism has put a tremendous strain on our district's water resources as water demand during tourist visitation periods surges by a 300% increase. So we're taking money in from transient occupancy tax. We're taking money in as an economy through lodging and restaurants and a bunch of other related goods and services. But the cost is having enough water for the people who live here. And this is an opportunity to do something that is essential, which is to protect the water supply. So that's what I'm talking about. We are just reserving the right to protect a water supply. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If I may, I too respect the work of the Budget Committee, and I've been really wrestling with this. Great. Because I think it's an opportunity that we need to take advantage of. And I think that sometimes, in some ways, it seems unprecedented to me, and I haven't been around, government work that long, but to have all the different range of stakeholders that they have involved in this project, and what it will mean for the county, I think it's significant. But I'm not comfortable with just handing over that amount of money. I am comfortable in taking a pause and figuring out if there's a way we can help them with money and also have it paid back. But I'm not the one to figure out the numbers on that, obviously, so.
You do have, while it's only $500,000, you do have $500,000 budgeted in contingency. And so you can set this aside and make a decision at a later date when there has been something that has been thoroughly identified by them. Typically, we use the contingency account if some other project has a cost overrun or something like that. And so.
So are you suggesting that we could,
you could put the discussion on pause and figure all of this out, and then there's $500,000 in contingency, and if you did come to a decision, they got the funding from the other sources that they're needing this match for, then you could then spend the $250,000 from contingency.
I would be more comfortable with that.
Madam Chair, may I ask? So we have contingency, but we also have a jail project. So if we say the contingency, we're thinking about the contingency for the Arch Cape Forest project, but we've got this huge jail remodeling project, I don't consider that fiscally responsible. What seems to be more fiscally responsible is to set it aside. All I'm asking is that we set it aside and have the authority and continue the discussions. That's all.
So you could adjust your contingency to, instead of being $500,000, be $750,000, but not be assigning this to a specific project.
So I'm sorry if I'm interpreting what you're saying, Monica. In this process of approving the budget, if we were to add $250,000 to the contingency fund, then at a later date we can discuss how that contingency fund can be used. Is that correct? So we would be transferring this amount of money out of the special projects fund to the contingency fund.
Well, the contingency is within the special projects fund, so instead of having an unappropriated fund balance of where's my special projects? Oh, $17,207,200, which, granted, 10 million of that approximately is for the jail for 2021. Instead of having that 17,207,000, you would reduce that unappropriated fund balance by $250,000, and you would increase your contingency by $250,000. You would not be specifically assigning it to the Arch Cape. You would just be assigning it to contingency.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I'm a little uncomfortable. I mean, in my experience, contingency is a pretty specific budgetary category. And I don't think I would look at this in that way. I don't think I would look at it as an unanticipated event. I would look at it as something that the board very consciously wants to set money aside in. So but putting it under the rubric of the special projects, to me is just, it makes more budgetary sense, but I'm not the budget person.
Well, contingency is still within special projects. It's a category within special projects.
Right, but I guess I'm just more comfortable not calling it contingency. So do I understand correctly that the motion that's before us, I'm sorry. I hope everybody can appreciate that. I mean, this is real time. This is pretty wonderful. Okay. We are specifically talking about an earmark, right? Which is, if it's, do we use it the same way that we do in the legislature?
You would have to assign it, we would create a line item in the budget, and it'll be in there for the next 3 years that there is any history on it, and there will be a line item that specifically assigns it to the Arch Cape watershed.
Okay, so it's, okay. So, but it would be clearly an earmark. This means the same thing as the
Yes,
state
you have a
does.
budgeted line item that would say Arch Cape watershed.
Okay.
What would the,
If you wanted to earmark it in contingency, which is, sometimes they do that in legislation, they earmark it in contingency, but you're not wanting to put it in contingency, so you will be having a specific line item that for the next 3 years, that there is any history in it, it will show up in the budget.
Chair Nebeker?
Yes.
If we have no change in the budget, we leave it the way it is, they get their grant, and they come back to us, what's to stop us from doing a budget adjustment at that time?
You would only be able to adjust the budget up to the amount of contingency, because the rest of it would be unappropriated, and unless there's some sort of natural disaster, you can't touch the unappropriated fund balance.
That's what I'm saying. It just makes it easier if we do it now. We don't have to spend it. But if we set it aside now, then it's easier to spend it if everybody's satisfied, if a majority of the board members are satisfied. So the negotiations would continue, but what this does is indicate the board's commitment to protecting that most essential of human needs, water, through this project.
what's the difference between, and I know we're trying to talk about it, it's not sinking in. What's the difference between?
That's all right.
What's the difference between just increasing the contingency fund versus earmarking it? Is that one becomes a line item in the budget and one does not?
You can earmark it within contingency. You can just say $250,000 of contingency is earmarked for the Arch Cape watershed. Or you can specifically put a line item in the budget. So if it is in contingency, you would have to do a budget adjustment once they come forward with their plan. You would have to do a budget adjustment, moving it from contingency into the category materials and services, special payments, whatever the case may be. If you budget it as a line item, it will be budgeted as most likely a special payment, and it would be sitting there ready.
I have a question. I don't think I really know enough about this when we heard that part of this would be, the timber would be, could be harvested, and I'm confused about all of that. I don't think I understand this whole aspect well enough. So if we were to approve this, we would have further discussion before we would actually fund it or grant it.
Yes. Would that include the possibility of setting up some kind of loan?
Yeah, that would be the discussion. At this point in time, you're discussing whether or not you want to increase the budget authority of the countywide budget by $250,000.
And that means giving us the authority to spend the $250,000. Okay,
According to local budget law.
right.
So,
I guess I would be more comfortable in increasing the contingency and then having a further discussion at the time that a grant is received and we're, debating it, but I don't see any reason to change my position on putting an earmark or a line item at this time. I could accept changing the contingency to allow for it as long as it comes back to us and we can have a full discussion once we know more.
it's going to come back to us for discussion no matter where it sits. Yeah. I mean, there's not going to be a penny spent without further discussion and more evidence provided.
Right.
So,
And I think the point is taken also that this is precedent setting, and we have a number of other special districts that are watching this as well.
and good, because we take in money so that we can provide services through programs, and we've got millions. So I think it's legitimate that our stakeholders come to us and say, we're presenting a case, because I think that's going to have us as a governing body step up our game. We're going to get a new county manager, so we're going to have new eyes, fresh eyes to help us look long-term. You know, the two candidates that we've got are from larger counties that are more comfortable contemplating and working with projects like this. So I'm hopeful for the future, and I think that, again, this is a strategic move that prepares us for a future that better serves the needs of people in Clatsop County.
I want to have more discussion about this. I am fully supportive of the project, and I would like the county to help them in any way that they can. But I feel more comfortable with perhaps increasing the contingency rather than earmarking it in the budget, in the special projects fund.
So point of order to the parliamentarian, Madam Chair. So that is different than my motion on the floor, so we should vote up or down on that motion, and if it passes, it passes, and if it fails, we can consider a different motion to put it into contingency?
No, your motion still works. You're earmarking the
Still
sum
works?
of $250,000. You're just not identifying what category you're putting it into.
Okay, just clarifying.
Well,
From the interim county manager.
Well, if you're putting it, if you're increasing it in contingency, you're increasing contingency by $250,000 for potentially, I mean, when you're saying earmarking, you're identifying why you're increasing the contingency. So it would, like when I provide the budget document and I make these changes in there, in the budget summary, when it's talking about budget highlights, I would say, you know, contingency, because historically we only budget $500,000 for contingency. So that's a highlight that I would identify, and in that I would say that the contingency has been increased by $250,000 so that further discussions regarding the Arch Cape watershed could take place should they meet the necessary, yeah. Yeah.
So that sounds a little different than what we have on the floor, so.
No, what you're doing is you're identifying the $250,000 to increase the budget.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it should actually say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
Well, so then we,
They can't just change, that's the actual
Well, you
motion.
can't just change it.
Yeah, right.
You can't just, we have to vote. That's what that was my question to the parliamentarian.
Can they amend
Pay
that?
attention.
Can they amend the motion
Right, you can amend the motion.
to add that?
okay.
So how do you want the motion to read? Somebody?
Well, it isn't up to the
If you
parliamentarian.
want to amend the motion, you say, I amend the motion by doing such and such.
So if I understand the motion that I'm being requested to make, I want to be clear about this. I move to increase contingency by $250,000 in the special projects fund for the getting wrapped up in this. I
So,
move-
excuse me, when, it would be something that we would vote on, the amendment, and then it would be inserted into the original.
Yeah. Here comes the parliamentarian again.
Isn't that right?
It sounds like the language that Commissioner Thompson wants to add is adding it into the end of the existing motion, because it's talking about how it's being tracked.
I'm amenable. You just tell me what to say, and I'm going to say it so that we can complete this.
It's whatever you want to do. I'm just trying to help you amend the motion so
Yeah,
that
get the-
it's clear. I think you want to add language on how it's handled.
I think that the question was, if I understand what Monica said, is that, that the original motion,
So it just should be, I moved to increase.
help us out here, Monica.
For the fiscal year, shouldn't it?
Well,
So should the
So-
earmark be moved, changed to increase contingency?
you can just, the original motion is I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 1920 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County as approved by the budget committee with board requests of increasing contingency in special projects by $250,000 as well as the staff recommended changes.
Heck yeah, write that down, because I'll make that motion.
Okay, so after, as approved by the budget committee with board requests, so start at requests, of increasing contingency in special projects by $250,000.
But we have a different,
So you.
we have a different motion on the floor. Can the motion be withdrawn? Can that happen? And then just create a whole new one?
You can vote the motion down and pass a new one, or you can amend the existing motion.
You want to vote down your
Vote it-
current motion.
Yeah.
Vote it down.
And insert it, move to amend
Yeah,
the
okay.
motion that's written for it.
Okay, so,
Or
We're done.
read that in when you make your final motion.
Can the maker and the seconder just withdraw the motion?
No.
We just have to
no,
vote
I
it
guess
down.
not. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, the pending question is, shall we earmark the sum of $250,000 in fiscal year 2019 to 20 budget for the Arch Cape Forest project from the Special Projects Fund? An aye vote will adopt the motion, and no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Sullivan?
No.
Commissioner Thompson?
No.
Commissioner Quila?
No.
Commissioner Webb?
No.
Commissioner Nebeker?
No. The ayes are 0 and the noes are 5. The motion is defeated.
So, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes. Jane, don't be writing that stuff. It makes me crazy. Okay. By organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County as approved by the Budget Committee with board requests of increasing contingency in special projects by $250,000, as well as the staff recommended changes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it is moved and seconded that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-2020 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County as approved by the Budget Committee with board requests of increasing contingency in special projects by $250,000 as well as the staff recommended changes. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so the pending question is that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-20 to 20 by organizational unit imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County as approved by the Budget Committee with board requests of increasing contingency in special projects by $250,000 as well as the staff recommended changes. And an aye vote will adopt the motion, and no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson? Aye. Commissioner Quila?
Aye.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker?
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes are 0. The ayes have it, the motion is adopted.
Thank you, colleagues.
Moving on to the adoption of fiscal year 2019 to 20, the road district number 1 budget.
So again, the Budget Committee approved this budget at the May 8th, 2019 budget meetings. You had your hearings at the previous board meeting on June 12th. It's now necessary for you to formally adopt this. The attached resolution in order adopt the 2019-20 Clatsop County Road District Number 1 budget of $4,245,080, imposes and categorizes the taxes provided for at the rate of 1.0175 per 1,000 of assessed value of all taxable property within Clatsop County, and makes appropriations in accordance with Oregon budget law. It reflects the budget as approved by the Budget Committee.
Madam Chair, I lost it.
356.
Page 356.
55.
Page 350.
66, actually, is the motion.
Oh, it's
Oh, 50, I'm sorry.
page
Are you
page
just
356.
Going to read the motion? or you-
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Road District Number 1 is approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board, as made by the Budget Committee. We didn't have any revisions, period.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Road District Number 1 as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. Is there any discussion? The pending question is that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Road District Number 1 is approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. An aye vote will adopt the motion, a no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Aquila,
Aye.
Commissioner Webb,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker.
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes are 0. The ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Would you like to take a 5-minute break?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
adoption of the fiscal year 2019 to 20 budget for Rural Law Enforcement District, page 359.
So the resolution in order to be adopted for the 1920 Clatsop County Rural Law Enforcement District budget is for $5,347,650, of which all $5,347,650 is appropriated. It imposes and categorizes the taxes in the approved budget at the rate of 0.7195 per 1,000 of assessed value of all taxable property within Clatsop County, and makes appropriations in accordance with local budget law.
Rural,
Page 359, 359, the motion, recommended motion is on.
I'd make
page
the motion that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-2020 by organizational unit imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Rural Law Enforcement District as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board.
Second.
It is moved and seconded that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Rural Law Enforcement District as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. Is there any discussion? The pending question is that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County Rural Law Enforcement District as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. An aye vote will adopt the motion, and no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Aquila?
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker?
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes are 0. The ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Next is the adoption of fiscal year 2019 to 2020 budget for 4-H and Extension Special Service District, page 363 in your packet.
The resolution in order adopting the 1920 Clatsop County 4-H and Extension Special Service District budget is for $654,950. It imposes and categorizes the taxes provided for in the approved budget at the rate of 0.0534 per 1,000 of assessed value of all taxable property within Clatsop County, and makes appropriations in accordance with Oregon local budget law and reflects the budget as approved by the Budget Committee.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-20 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County 4-H and Extension Special Service District budget as approved by the Budget Committee with staff recommended changes.
Oh.
That's what it says.
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't delete that.
Okay, so as approved by the Budget Committee, period.
Thank you.
Second.
It is moved and seconded that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-2020 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County 4-H and Extension Special Service District budget as approved by the Budget Committee. Is there any discussion? The pending question is that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019-2020 by organizational unit, imposing taxes, categorizing taxes, and making appropriations for Clatsop County 4-H and Extension Special Service District budget as approved by the Budget Committee. An aye vote will adopt the motion. A no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Aquila?
Aye.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker?
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes 0. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Next, item J on our business agenda, and page 367, the adoption of fiscal year 2019 to 20 budget for Westport Sewer Service District.
The resolution in order for the 2019-20 Westport Sewer Service District of $200,800 and makes appropriations in accordance with local budget law. It reflects the budget as approved by the Budget Committee with no proposed adjustments.
Madam
As a
Chair,
Westport,
sorry, you going to make it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I move that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for the 2019-2020 by organizational unit and making appropriations for Westport Sewer Service District as approved by the Budget Committee.
Second.
It is moved and seconded that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit and making appropriations for Westport Sewer Service District as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. Is there any discussion? The pending question is that the board approve the resolution adopting the budget for 2019 to 20 by organizational unit and making appropriations for Westport Sewer Service District as approved by the Budget Committee or as revised by the board. An aye vote will adopt the motion, and no vote will defeat the motion. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Quila?
Aye.
Commissioner Webb?
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Nebeker?
Aye. The ayes are 5, the noes are 0. The ayes have it, and the motion to adopt is, to adopt the motion. Sorry, I'm tired. Yeah,
You said yes.
yes, thank you. So now we move on to good of the order. I have something. Patricia Roberts had originally applied to be on the Jail Advisory Committee, and there was a misunderstanding that she wanted to withdraw from that, and that was a misunderstanding. She's very well qualified to be on that committee, so I am going to appoint her in addition to be on that committee.
Good. I have one thing, too.
One other thing. I also wanted to call your attention to the email from Tiffany Brown about the salvage chief. It's a lengthy email if you haven't already read it, but I suggest you read it.
The salvage chief.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Commissioner Thompson.
This is another issue about the budget, and with great respect to the members of the Budget Committee, I'm going to differ from you one more time. I listened to Commissioner Sam Patrick, who said the voters, when they passed the Home Rule Charter, made the governing body volunteers. He said if we wanted to change what the voters had taken away by voting that charter in, we ought to consult with the voters before we gave back the health care option, the health care insurance option for commissioners. And I thought about that, because my first instinct is to give everybody access to health care. And I still have that position as an individual. As a county commissioner, I think Commissioner Patrick is right. I'm listening to the conflict that's coming out of Salem, particularly, where sides aren't listening to each other. They aren't talking to each other. So in my mind, what I think we ought to do, or what I'm going to move, what I am moving to do, is to refer to the voters the issue of whether or not we should provide health care, access to the Clatsop County Health Insurance Program, because there is a fiscal impact, and the voters did take it away. And that's done with all respect for my colleagues. It's done with all respect to the members of the Budget Committee. But I'm thinking about the voters, because our org chart says the voters are at the top, the voters pay the bills, they give the services. So I did not write down a motion. I apologize for that to staff. But what I want to move is that we refer to the voters in the November 2019 election the issue of whether or not Clatsop County commissioners should have and I want to say this correctly, council help me, is it access to the health insurance, the county's health insurance program, should have access to the county's health insurance program. And so I'm looking for a second, if anybody's willing to second that motion, just for discussion.
And which election was that, November?
November 2019. Well, you don't have to agree with me, but thank you for listening to me, because my conscience dictated that I listen to Commissioner Patrick, because I think in terms of giving the voters the right to examine the issue and have their say before we simply institute it, that honors their action when they put in that home rule charter. And so I felt obliged to offer that up. So thank you for listening.
But I thought it was decided that we already have the right for those who want it. It already exists. So I don't know why we would go to the expense of an election. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Well, could we go back to your, to the Tiffany Brown
Yeah.
memo that you brought up? In terms of, I wasn't clear about what we were actually being asked to do. And I think maybe we need to talk about whether we are to do it, because I thought it was quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it's a very lengthy email, and there's a lot of information there. Maybe we could ask,
I can't say for certain, I can't speak on behalf of Tiffany. I know that she has concerns about funding going to the salvage chief. She has tried to have communication with Mr. Holcomb, and she doesn't feel that there is good dialogue taking place there. And she has spoken to others who also have concerns about what the role of the salvage chief will be in regards to, and I don't know that she mentioned this in the, I think she mentioned something about the Megler Bridge, but in conversations that I've had with her as well, if the salvage chief was to be used to pull the Megler Bridge out of the Columbia River, that would not be the jurisdiction of the county. And so, so the county wouldn't have a role in that, and those conversations. That would be the federal waterways would have those contracts with them. The county wouldn't contract with him for, to provide those services, so. But I don't know what else you want to know from me. Speaking on behalf of her, I don't want to speak on behalf of her.
My concern is that our emergency management money is so limited that to have, what is it? It's like 1.9 million.
1.9 million.
It's a huge amount for something that's not really part of our emergency management plan. That would kind of be my.
And I recently spoke to the historian mayor, who's a former Coast Guard, and he does not support that project. And I don't support that project.
So should we do something?
I'm uncomfortable that we got an email from staff and it's not on the agenda and we don't have a chance to have a good discussion about it. I don't think that's a good way to handle something. I mean, I understand the concern, but I think we need a better process.
well, it is the good of the order. We're not necessarily making decisions right now. I just wanted everybody to be aware of that email and to be informed, and at a later date, if we need to, we can.
Well, the problem is that it's very timely because this decision is going to be made pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
I think that individually as board members, you can talk to Tiffany if you have more questions regarding it, and individually as board members, you can, email Senator Johnson and express any concerns you might have.
She's not supporting it.
She is. She's a co-sponsor.
Is supporting it.
He is supporting it.
Oh, I misread that. Okay.
Which is
I don't know.
problematic. I mean, it's
Okay,
just a
so-
gnarly issue.
Yeah, so I agree with county manager that we can individually get more information, make our voices heard. All right, is there anything else for the good of the order? All right, good. Meeting's adjourned.
Good job.
Thanks.
I would have said something when we got out of here, Mike.
This is good. It's great. Someday I'm gonna have to clean them all out.
You can go home and have an evening with your family.